morning. This is Spirit Journey, and it's Monday morning. This video is not going to be about just one topic. It's just going to be really just freestyle, just saying what's on my mind based on the news that I'm hearing over YouTube. I found out yesterday evening that there was another shooting, mass shooting in Texas at a church. And already people are indicating a possible hoax. Now, if anyone was shot and killed in this event, my truest condolences to the families of those who got hurt or killed in this horrific event. What does all of this mean? It was just, let's say, like a week prior, there was another attack on a bike lane in Manhattan. And I posted a video on that it's hitting close to home. Since I live in New York City and use that same bike path on my new bike. So it seems like this year, it's about trying to traumatize and make people afraid. And then prior to that event in Manhattan was that other event, that had what's that event now? Yeah, in Las Vegas. And I was glued to the internet when I learned of that event a day after the incident. And again, just a lot of things that don't make sense. The more you dig into the matter, the more questions you have. So it seems like the media today is all about confusion. Everything is about confusion. It's not straight news. And I remember, I think it was last year, or it could have actually been, I think it was last year, when I was being introduced to what they call false flags and hoaxes that happen in the media when there's some type of antagonistic attack against people. And it made a reference to a movie called Wag the Dog. And so I found the video over the internet and watched it. And I said, wow, is this what's going on? That you can have people orchestrating things, orchestrating your beliefs. It was amazing, that movie. It was an eye-opener. But why would a media do all this? Again, as I mentioned to many of you on this channel, that I believe I was raised on television and the school system, the public school system, and so my understanding about life is based strictly on those mediums. But I think in my subconscious, I question, like on the surface, you taught, don't question authority. I know I was taught that. But your subconscious mind is a free thinker, and it's questioning, it's the reasoning of what you see. And so now as an adult, and now for the past 3 years, I think it was now, starting to question everything that I see and hear. This life is not, it's not what you believe. It's not what you see or hear. And so I said, well, why is all this? Well, you notice now also they have, what do you call it, the pizza gate and the pedo gate. Why are people doing these awful things to children? And I mentioned earlier, video, a recent video, how I used to look up to, excuse me, some of the people on television, the movies, or even music, and you think that it's something spectacular, something special, and you maybe a little envious or longing that you wish you were there, and then to find out that these teens that were in the movie industry are being victimized by adults. So here the illusion was one thing, but the reality was something completely different. And if I would have known those things, I wouldn't have wanted to be in their place. It's a great illusion. So I'm just thinking now, like the movie industry, and I'm also including music as well. Music and movies, television, it's all and theater, it's all the same thing. You notice with all those mediums that it's the promise of getting large sums of money and to be known and the prestige, but the money in particular. Why is this? Why is this industry like this? Why? Why do you get paid so much money for that task? They get more money than doctors. They get more money than teachers. And so those are occupations that is directly to assist people, to help people. But television and music and the movies, it's all entertainment. But yet the cost value in doing the type of work in those industries. So it flocks a lot of people into those industries because of poverty. Poverty is not a good thing to be in. It's stressful and it makes you do things that you wouldn't ordinarily do. So why does this industry want you to do what you ordinarily wouldn't do when you get in the business? This is a question that we should be asking. Why? Why do they require it? Because now you hear that, okay, once you get in the business, it's like you're a slave in that business. You can't get out. Like Michael Jackson, he couldn't get out of his contract, or he had to wait till the contract ended. But it's like, boy, I'm thinking that it's just a job, and okay, if you have a contract, wait till the contract is over, and then you split. You go to somewhere else. Now you know how it works, this system. But I think it goes deeper than just waiting till your contract ends. They might force you to do another contract. And that's what I'm starting to think in all this. That it attracts people to come in. And it's keeping you there. So it's like wagging a carrot in front of your face and you're hungry. And that's what happens. They capture you. And you're a slave to that industry. They have you do things that you really don't want to do. Like now they're talking about Harvey Weinstein, I think his name is. He is a famous movie producer. And he had people come to him, and he was known to do very lewd things to women. And over the internet, they show that even the men knew about him, and they would make jokes like it was some type of award, and the announcer was saying a joke about him regarding these women that were nominated for an award, and he said in a joking manner that now you women don't have to pretend to like Harvey, you know, and there was other innuendos about him. It didn't sound good at all. So it was a known. He had a reputation, and I I think in that people talk, and women talk to one another, and so even though it was out there, but again you want to get into business, and if it doesn't personally happen to you, you still go into it, and you I guess let the truth, find out what the truth is. But a rumor is just a rumor until you see it or experience what's going on. So I think that's what was happening in that industry. That yes, his word was up, but he's like, you have to get through the dog, that's on the leash, and you want to get into the house. So you have to be kind of careful, make sure the dog doesn't bite you, because your goal is to get into the house. I'm using that as a metaphor. So this person seemed to be going wacko. And I think the more he did it, the more obsessed he became with doing this. And again, he had a wife. He has a wife, and I think he has a child with that woman, and she's a very beautiful woman. So what's the problem? So it's not about him not being attractive to his wife, but it's something within him and about power. So also with this industry, this music industry, you're learning about the pedophilia or the abuse of, a sexual predator, even if they're of age. Now I'm wondering, this industry is attracting people into it, young and old, mostly young people and children. The parents are bringing the children in the industry. And so I'm wondering, is this all tied into the kidnapping ring? Because one of the videos that I saw about the subject was saying that there are bases all over the U.S. and around the world. And you might get these new celebrities, people who really aren't known, and they fly them, especially like models. The modeling industry mostly has women. You do have men in the industry too, but it's mostly women. And I was told that they are sending these women to different locations around the world. It's like an initiation. You look at these new models just coming out, and then they initiate them. They go somewhere. A lot of times it's in Europe. And then when they come back to the States, it's like it's something about them. And they become like any other model you would see, and they act and perform. It's like I think they're all interconnected. And it's robbing the person of the essence. And again, with models, we get paid a lot of money for the work we do. But again, it's that sexual component. So I remember like David Icke talked about these beings and how they can latch on to people to get their energy. And when you're in a sexual activity, you are also taking in their energy as well. So we have to really know who our partners are, who you're with, and you have all these young people, and as David Icke was mentioning, that the younger that person, especially before their physical maturity, pre-pubescent, that's the time that they really target these kids. And then they abuse them. Just like with Corey Feldman, he was he is a performer. He was a child actor, and he made mention of the things that happened to him growing up. And it was known. Now with these false flags I mentioned earlier, that it seems like the narrative, again, you have Hollywood makes these movies, and they show you an event. They show you something in advance, a scenario. And they even had a movie the same year of the World Trade Center attacks, of the World Trade being targeted with a plane ramming into it. And all these other things. It's like Hollywood seems like a type of news outlet. They may call it science fiction or fantasy or just entertainment. That is all fiction. And none of the characters are real. But I think it's a prototype. I like how what they call the Illuminati. I'm even turned off by that term, Illuminati. But either way, it's a term that people know, and at least many people know, and that they want to tell you what they're going to do up in your face, even though you don't know it. So it's a deception because they know you're not going to listen. You may hear it, but you hear many things at once, but you may not be aware of what's actually being said. So the scenario is many faceted, happening all at once. But they have to tell you, and those who aren't aware are the ones who get harmed. So like I was even thinking about this, like this morning, they were talking about, again, the false flags that are happening, or the alleged false flags with the attacks that happened in Las Vegas, and then in Manhattan, and now in Texas church. There was a video that came out years ago, in the 1980s. It's a group, some German group, and they sang the song. It's called Red Balloons, and then in German I think it's called Luftballons. And I remember the song growing up. I used to listen to music like that, but I never listened to the words. And then even when they spoke in English, because the song is spoken in English and German, I've heard both versions to the song. It's a fast-paced song, and the person who is discussing what that song really means is talk about, what do you call it, UFOs. I had no idea it was about UFOs and about certain attacks, and how these attacks may be really, again, another false flag. They're not real aliens. And, as you know, Germany has a space program that on the surface was interrupted, but they continued it in bases, according to some researchers. And so you have this group, the German group, talking about UFOs and attacks, and I never knew that. I thought that song because years ago when I was a little girl, there was a movie that my school had showed us in the auditorium. I think it was entitled "The Boy in the Red Balloon," something like that. It was about some young European boy, and he's on a giant balloon. The balloon is a bunch of balloons with helium in it, and he flies up in the air. And I think they were red balloons. And so I was thinking that the song was really referring to that. But no, I very really, again, I can hardly understand when people sing, when they talk. So I just listen to just experience the music. But see, that I realize now, after learning about that song about the red balloons, that okay, it's like taking poison. You have something, and the only way how you're going to eat the poison, for one, you have to mask it in something else, something sweet, preferably. And so that's where the music comes in. It opens the door to your psyche, to your heart, and then you put in the poison. And so they get it in. So it seems like it's like a program, these, the music industry, that they have this music. And I'm wondering, as an artist, I mean, I am not a musician in any way, but I'm thinking someone who's a musician or songwriter, why would you write about these things? You know, so you just write about your life, or, you like this person, this guy or that girl, things like that. But a lot of these songs seem to be um, coded. Things like, who would talk about these things? And she's a young girl, the one that is singing the song at least. Again, I don't know who wrote the song, but she's singing the song, and she's a young, pretty girl, German girl. Why talk about these things? I'm wondering whether the music industry is ordering the people to talk about these things as a program. And so here, it's not about you being an artist and performing, because you notice now, it seems like all the musicians, like the singer named Prince, and he calls himself a slave because he's not free. I'm thinking, well, what's he talking about? He's in an occupation of his choice. He's doing what he wanted to do, make music and sing. But it seems like something underneath the industry that people, the general population, don't know about. And that is control. And like Hollywood and the music industry and even the modeling, that they can threaten you. They're threatening people. And then you get these young people who are dying now. They start to complain and say things, and then boom, all of a sudden, the drug overdose or car accident, you know? I didn't know that this world, it seems like this world is really, really getting more sinister the more you see what's going on. It's almost frightening. But we're not to be afraid. Even at the point of death, we shouldn't be afraid. What more could they do to you? And I say this to myself because I was fearful most of my life. And that's also why I'm doing these videos, to encourage myself and to really try to understand who the Wizard of Oz is. It's a wizard out there who is controlling your perception in this world. Another new thing that I being introduced to is what they call the super soldiers. And I listened to this one, like most of the people who are super, what they call super soldiers, the mass majority are white men, and they do have some white women too. But for the first time, no, I think it's the second time, but it was a big gap in between seeing that this person and another person like him was a black man in his 40s, and he discussed how he was taken from his home. He was either 6 years of age. He lived in the suburbs, and how he was being trained to do certain things as a child. And it was hard for me to understand completely when I watched these scenarios, whether it's him or other people, that if you're in this program, what about your parents? Don't they see what's going on? Well, one explanation he said was it was a portal, something that was in his basement. He was being led to go in his basement. He saw this being or something, and he's scared, and the thing is, hey, come this way, or something. But it seemed like a portal was opened up. And this portal, you know, brought him to somewhere else. And then they were explaining how someone could be taken, let's say it's nighttime, because at nighttime you're sleeping, and this one individual, not this kid per se, but another person was saying that, hey, you can go into this program. It's a 20-year program, but you'll come back. It just, in this world, it just seemed like 15 minutes, but you'll be away for actually 20 years, and then we'll send you back to the same time frame, and your parents won't know. I'm dumbfounded with that. For one, it's misleading. I mean, they tell me, you're going to be away for 20 years, but still, to do a contract with a child, and for the parents. Now, if that's what's going on, okay, to explain why the parents don't know, but sometimes kids are abducted from, they go to school, but they don't go, like, let's say they go on the school bus, but the school bus doesn't go to the school, it goes to some other facility. And so it always confuses me. All these things are happening to your children, and you don't know. That's the frightening part. And then again, you have parents who know and allow it. And that's even sadder in the matter. Your children are being abused, taken advantage of, and their labor is being taken. And this guy, the black fellow, who's given his story, is saying he was in this, they might have tracked him down as a child because of who his father was. Father was in the military. He was an enlistee, his father, but he was, what do you call it, the Black Berets or something? He did 4 tours of duty, I think, in Vietnam era. And they followed him, the government, and he wasn't raised by his father. In fact, the father distanced himself from his family. I mean, he had relationships with other women and had children by other women as well, but he didn't want this particular son to be in close proximity. Maybe he sensed that they would target his son. So seems to be going on. And a lot of these stories about what they call the super soldiers, they repeat each other. There's similar themes and incidences, and some of these super soldiers remember seeing one another when they were on assignment. Isn't that something? So I guess, what does that have to do with me? Not that I have like time missing, but just questions that I have about myself and my life. Started about between the age of 4 and 5. They seem to be things I don't understand. Things that it's like I don't remember. And I remember me being put in a classroom, but I wasn't to sit with the other children. It was a table, a little round table in the corner, and it also had one other fellow. He seemed very troubled. And I don't know why I was in this class or in that school. There was a lot of things going on before. Like before entering the school, I was in another school, and then we had moved. So it's a lot of things just jumping around. And till this day, I still don't understand what was going on. I feel there's something missing, and certain fears that I had, things I don't understand why I felt so afraid of certain things, and always feeling like, how did I get here? And why am I here? So that's why I think right now in my life that I'm interested in watching these programs about this, what they call the super soldiers. Not that I'm a super soldier, no, but I'm just saying that, hey, people could do abductions, or they put you in a program and then erase your memory, or maybe a study. I remember we used to take tests, and I think these were actually IQ tests. But they never told me what my IQ was. It was never disclosed to me, nor what this test was. But I know now as an adult, that was an IQ test. And to this day, I remember one of the questions. It said, which is stronger, an elephant or an ant? And I don't know why they asked that question. It was one of those fill-in questions, you circle the answer, A, B, C, or D, something like that. You required a pencil, the number 2 pencil. So I don't know, it's just weird. And I think how some people that I've been in contact with, how they act at times. And on the surface, they didn't get any trauma, they weren't in an accident or anything like that. But why certain people that I know act certain ways? They act traumatized. So I'm wondering whether something was done with them. Someone recently told me something, and I think this is also why I'm doing this video, trying to put the pieces together. Someone shared with me that they would be walking in public, and in the corner of the eye, they see a figure, a person. They might be leaning against a tree, and then they vanish. Or another time they were squatted down by the sidewalk, and then they just disappear in front of their own eyes. This person also had seen these beings, the tall people, illuminate, light was coming from them. I think they were wearing long outfits, long robes or something. I'm not sure if they had wings. I'm not sure, but they were in this vision for a while, and they were singing, or music was coming from them. There was words, lyrics, and then they disappeared. So I'm wondering, all these things that I'm hearing from people, and I'm wondering that, is it true? Are there really dimensions or things that are outside of our vision or scope, but they exist? People claiming that they're being brought to other planets, and they have devices that, what they call a jump room, that could go from one location to another planet, and that they're kidnapping children, that children are being kidnapped, and they're slaves. They're being used as slaves in these projects. All this is happening, and people are getting away with it. So I think that the first, like, the media is the first communication to the masses. And they don't want to be found out because I think everything is tied to each other. The news, and everything in the media, they're all tied together to make you think and act a certain way so they can continue doing what they're doing. And they get the money. They get money to finance these things, to go here and there. And then they don't want you to learn to do certain technologies because then you'll be independent from them. So they want you financially or energetically dependent on them. And so it's a form of slavery because you have to always buy from the same people to get this energy, to get these jobs. Somehow we have to learn how to create our own energy, to get our own energy independent from mainstream so we could take care of ourselves. Because that's where the bondage comes in. When you feel dependent on a system, let's say you have to get a job because you need the money to pay your rent, to get the food. See how everything is interconnected, and it's a type of slavery because then you're forced to do what they want to do. Some people may feel trapped in being an actor or actress or musician because that's all that they know how to do. It is lucrative, but it's really like a sports person, a football player. Some of them get paid a lot of money, but you're hearing some of them say that they're just glamorized slaves. They really have no freedom, and it's the people who own them that's making the real money. Then they get bashed in. They sit and watch you get bashed in. Start also noticing the types of people and where they're coming from. Many of these rich tycoons come from countries that are far away, so they're relatively new in the Americas. They're relatively new, but they are a power force, and they control industries, all types of industries. And so when they control all these industries, they're controlling you and what you know or don't know. And as you see, with all these scandals and stuff, once you start opening up the secret and start exposing it, all of a sudden you're considered crazy, you're considered an enemy, and then all of a sudden you get sick and die, or you get in a bad accident, or they create a scandal, just like what they did to Corey Feldman. he said he was going to say who did what to him. Then all of a sudden, his home gets invaded by the authorities, and so they found marijuana. So they're going to race and arrest somebody, and it takes money to do that, but they're not going to arrest on the allegations of many people on a sexual predator. Isn't that something? So see how everything seems to all be interconnected. This is all part of my spirit journey and trying to analyze what's going on in this world, my own life. Why do I act the way that I do? How to get out of the matrix of control and to really be totally free and have personal liberty to do, to think, to whatever what money I want to make that I'm able to make, or even how to get out of the monetary system. That's even more perfect. So this is just food for thought, and let me know what you think, what your experiences are. Have you been seeing things and then disappearing? I even saw my first, what they call the TR-3Bs, the triangle plane, the black one. I saw that maybe 2 months ago. So those things, they do exist. Yeah. So, yes, comment below and share this video with friends and family members. And you could subscribe to my channel and to give me the thumbs up. And for those of you who like the content that I'm sharing and like my channel, please feel free to donate to my PayPal me account. You'll see the link on my channel on the top part, the banner. So thank you again for your support and be aware. Bye-bye.